America's future is a series of choices. Our current state of slow motion national decline is a choice. This November, we're going to choose success. We're going to choose to put the future of Americans first. We are going to choose to no longer be spectators this election. We together are going to do the work to save America.
Hey guys, if you're wondering where we're at, we are at an amphitheater, an actual amphitheater. If you follow me, if you look over here, you have the amphitheater and it goes all the way from there to over here. What you need to ask yourself is why we're at an amphitheater. Okay, the reason we're at an amphitheater, if you can't guess yet already, is many people have made the argument, even though like 99% of the people, when they hear the shot go off, look exactly at the building that the supposed shooter, whether it's Tyler Robinson or not, can't prove that. But that seems to be where the shot came from, according to where 99% of people heard it come from. Yet people are saying, oh, that's impossible because you're at an amphitheater. It's impossible to hear where any noise comes from. Well, today we are at an actual amphitheater designed to have acoustics, designed to have all those acoustic abilities that people say it's impossible to hear where a direction comes from. And we're going to test it out. Also, real quick, if you haven't watched Matt Kester's video of his audio test where he shows all the rings intersecting on that same building where the supposed shot came from, make sure you go watch that. Matt Kester does a great job of laying that whole thing out and showing that that's where everything intersects. Like I said, that doesn't prove that it was Tyler Robinson, but it does show some evidence that it came from that direction. And guys, this video, like I said, isn't meant to prove that it was Tyler Robinson or anything like that. It's just meant to test whether you can see where something comes from in an amphitheater. And also to see if those 99% of people who looked in that direction, or first reaction was to look in that direction, to see if they could also tell if it came in that direction. Or maybe you guys are all right, and maybe in an amphitheater you can't tell where something came from. We're going to test that out today and find out. We're going to use two different methods, okay? First, we're going to use this animal call. This animal call uses extremely loud decibels, and it is going to be up somewhere in here. I'm going to have my eyes closed so I can't tell where it is. I'm going to have an assistant place this and then play loud animal noises, and we're going to see if I can tell where those come from. And guys, just real quick, I know that before we begin these tests, some of you are already thinking, there's no way that this sound maker or these snappers or these poppers or these firecrackers that we're going to use are anywhere near as loud as a 30-06. If you've ever been to a shooting range, yeah, the sound right off the rifle is going to be like 150 to 160 decibels or more. However, if you're downrange, if you've ever been to any of these ranges where you have to go put your target up downrange, you know it's not very loud, you know, where you stand in like a little valley and you use the ropes to lift it up. Or even if you just go sideways, like, 20, 30 feet, that sound is a lot quieter. But if you still don't believe me, watch this. All right, guys, we're going to do some decibel testing. We're 130 yards from the car where I'm going to be shooting from. All right, guys, what we have here is a decibel tester and the decibel testing app on my phone. And I want to show you that at this distance, even a 300 Win Mag is going to be a lot quieter, maybe even just as quiet as those snappers at the amphitheater. I took a screenshot of this decibel reader at its highest point, guys. It appears that it's about 88.8 decibels at 130 yards. It could be more around the 69.5-ish that you're about to see in just a second, but I'm not sure. The reason I say that, guys, is that traditionally this one's been about 10 higher, what the phone says. But, guys, the phone does say 89.8 right here on its highest level. That's only within 2 degrees of what that says. So maybe at the longer distance away, I've never really tested anything long distance before. So maybe because it's a long distance, and maybe they're more accurate together. So, guys, it could either be 69.4 or it could be 88 or 89.4 like the phone says it is. And I'm not sure which was exactly correct, but for the sake of this, let's just go louder because all of you guys are going to be like, no way, 30.6 is like a cannonball. There's no way it's 69 decibels. So for the sake of this, guys, let's just use 88 or 89 just for the sake of this demonstration. Now we're going to do decibel testing pretty much point blank. This is like a yard in front of me, okay? 130 max. All right, guys, far away. I need to go over this for sure later, and I still need to test the poppers, but at 130 yards, which is less than 143 yards, the decibels were around 89, I believe. I need to check for sure because I haven't looked at the GoPro footage, but Guys, the close-up decibel test is a little bit inconclusive because the maximum range of my decibel meter and the decibel meter on the phone is 130 decibels on each of them. It reached that maximum number. However, Google searches that I've done say that a 300 Win Mag up close right outside the barrel should be around 160 decibels. So it's very likely that it was 160 because right up by the barrel, it's at least 130. A 30.6 is going to be a bit quieter than that. Also, keep in mind, guys, that we are quite a few yards short of the 143 yards that Tyler Robinson was allegedly at. And we're using the 300 Win Mag, which is louder than the 30.6, like we just said. So, guys, this 88 or 89 decibels that we are going to use is going to be even louder than it would have been at 143 yards. But basically, guys, we have at least 130 decibels up to 160 up close point blank to 89 at 130 yards. So, and this is a 300 Win Mag. A 30.6 is going to be even quieter. So we're going to test the poppers and then we're going to compare. All right, so for this test, we're going to throw about half these poppers, about the same amount we were throwing at the amphitheater, about 2 feet in front of the decibel reader and the phone reader. Okay, on this one we got 98. And on the phone reader, we got 90.7. And then we're going to throw the rest of these about 15 feet away and see what the decibels are at that distance. All right, guys, on the decibel reader, we have 95. And on the phone reader, we have 88. So, guys, as you can see, at this distance, these are almost equal to a 30.6 at 140 yards or so. It is not that much different. All right, guys, we're going to do a firecracker about 2 feet in front of the decibel reader as well as the phone app decibel reader, the phone. It's about 10 off usually, it seems like, but it's somewhere in that ballpark accurate. Guys, we get 97.6 on the decibel reader, and we get 88.5 decibels on the phone decibel reader. Now we're going to do a firecracker at about 12 feet. All right, the decibel reader reads 95 on that one, and this reads 87. All right, guys, we're going to do one more at about 30 feet, and let's get a reading from that. Guys, the decibel reader read 91 on that one, and the phone app read 84.5. Guys, the reason I'm showing you this is to show you that the 300 Win Mag, which is going to be considerably louder than a 30.6 supposedly, is around the same decibels or even less than these firecrackers and these poppers, and therefore you can't really say, well, this is an irrelevant test in this amphitheater with these poppers or the firecrackers, because they're just as loud or louder. They might have a different sound profile, but they're just the same loudness, same decibels, and so the same effect on your ears is going to have a similar effect. Is that correct? Correct. Pretty much right on that one. I hear a bird up there. I'm like, oh, it's over there. It's so funny. Correct. That is loud as crap. That was like, what, 4 or 5 of them I got? Every single one. Some of them were like right on. Some of them were like 3 or 4 feet off, maybe 5 or 6 feet. But I mean, that's not very far off, right? In an amphitheater where it's supposed to be impossible, theoretically, according to most people on the internet, if it went off over there, I should be like turning in circles trying to figure out where it came from, pointing over here and up there and maybe in front of me, right? So we're going to do one more test with a different thing just to kind of cover all our bases, but I think this is pretty conclusive already. All right, the second method we're going to use to test this is I have a whole bunch of these snapper popper things. And I'm sure you've seen these. They're these little white things, and when you throw them, they make loud popping noises, and we're going to test to see if I can hear what direction those come from as well. Correct. Correct? Holy crap. This is too easy. Correct. That was close. Holy crap.
Correct.
That correct? Okay. All right. All right, guys. We also have these firecrackers, and we're about to use these right now to do the same test. Yeah, guys, I think this is the most conclusive one so far. This amphitheater that is supposedly impossible to hear where something came from. I might have been off by a few feet. Okay. I might have been off as much by 10 feet on some of those. I'm not sure. I need to take a look. I haven't seen the footage on where I'm pointing. I know a couple of them I was straight on. A few of them I was 5 or 6 feet off. I might have been 10 feet off at some times. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at all the footage, but guys, according to the theory we're testing, when something went off over here, I should have been like, oh no, where is it at? I can't tell. I'm not sure. Was it over there? Was it over there? Was it up there? No. I could hear it every single time, and I pointed within 10 feet, if not right at it. I would say most of the time I was probably within like 4 or 5 feet if I'm correct. So as I think we can clearly state that the theory of it being impossible to tell where something came from while in an amphitheater from the sound alone is debunked. I could clearly hear where it came from. And I think the conclusion from that is that we can tell that 99% of the people, when they look in a certain direction, that's a large amount of people. If it was like 1 or 2 people that looked in that direction, I would be inclined to believe you and be more tempted to say, okay, maybe you're onto something. But 99% of people looked in the same direction. And by the test we did here today, if you don't believe me, if you think I cheated somehow and like knew where everything was going to happen, go do this yourself. Get some poppers and have your friend test this with you. And you're going to be able to tell exactly like I did where it came from. I'm not messing with you. This is true. So guys, what do we get from this? We can't prove that it was Tyler Robinson. We can't prove who was on that roof that took the shot. But what we can prove is, number one, you can tell where something came from. We know that 99% of people looked in one direction when that shot went off. Matt Kester's amazing work with audio rings and where everything came from matches up in that same position as well. So what do we know from this? All the evidence from this is pointing that we don't know if the narrative's true. We don't know if everything about the narrative's true, but it seems more and more likely that the narrative where it came from is at least true. We can't prove what kind of rifle it was. We can't prove who did it, but this proves that you can hear where something came from. And therefore, if 99% of people are looking in one direction, it is likely that's where that came from, as well as Matt Kester's work. And I think you guys go check that in the description as well. His links and stuff are all in there. Amazing work by that guy. And I think it's very useful. All right, guys, I think we can say that this part of the conspiracy is solved. You can tell where something came from in an amphitheater. Even though it echoes and it's amplified for sound, you can tell exactly where things came from. And guys, one more time, I just want to point out, this is an actual amphitheater. It isn't just some school zone that looks kind of like an amphitheater. It's an actual amphitheater. So if it's true here, it's true there. And I don't think we have to talk about this one anymore.